Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs Channel. Happy Friday evening to you all. In this video, we're talking about the weird news that's come out surrounding Nottingham Forest with, I don't know how to put this. I want to take the mickey out of them, but Nottingham Forest kicking up a fuss and looking to potentially block the Morgan Gibbs-White move to Tottenham Hotspur. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about a little bit surrounding, Yves Bissouma, sponsorship by, not sponsorship, sorry, investment looking like we have an update on what that investment may potentially be. Something that we've been thinking, when's it going to come for the last 6 years? Maybe it's finally here. So we're talking about that as well. I know about the lack of Brady and Bale and, all the things that normally is behind me. I know about that. Leave me alone, all right? Afternoon Spurs and Graham, AJ and Steampunk. Look, let's just jump in and talk about Morgan Gibbs-White. The near enough Spurs player, but now slightly on hold. Because Fritz Romano put out earlier today, it was just after lunchtime in England, saying that Nottingham Forest are preparing a complaint to the Premier League for Morgan Gibbs-White's move to Tottenham. Forest work on potential legal action as they believe Spurs made an illegal approach to the player. It was reported by Sky Sports. But so first and foremost, what I struggle with this deal, and this isn't, and I don't know how this will come across to certain people, is a Big Six fan speaking down to the rest of the 14 or whatever it is they think about. And first and foremost is this happens to every team. It does. If you think the top six never have an issue with clubs to player chatter, then can I just point you to Trent Alexander-Arnold and Real Madrid, Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, all right? Just two players. There's countless others who have had their heads turned, you could say. It happens in football. It's unfortunate. It is the way of the land. Now, the other issue is, if you're Nottingham Forest, is maybe don't put a release clause on a player that he might get bought. It's a bold strategy. I can't lie. Hey, we got this player. Really like him. He's like our best player. Okay, nice. They go, thinking about putting a release clause on him. Oh, yeah. So the release clause being like 150 million. I see what you're doing. No, not 150 million. 60 million. What? Yeah, 60 million. Well, that makes no sense. Well, why does it make no sense? Because someone could easily buy that. Yeah, bonkers, really. Marshall, you're right. Richard, Harvey, Tony, Philip. Crazy, isn't it? So that is what it's come out of. And look, this is Marinakis kicking up a fuss, getting his knickers in a twist. Nottingham Forest are a legendary football club, and they are a legendary football club. If you don't know enough about them, I recommend going back and just looking at what they were like before the millennium. And Marinakis has turned them into one of the most hated clubs. And it's not because of this one thing. He bans Gary Neville from the stadium because Gary Neville criticizes him. He storms on the pitch and slags off officials or players or managers. He's just a nasty character, if I'm honest. That's kind of the vibe you get from him. It's a power-hungry guy with money, and he's a nasty piece of work. So look, that aside, does it mean Tottenham will not be getting him? All things are still pointing towards Spurs feeling they're confident on it. Now, Nottingham Forest consider the deal off, which is bold because obviously release clause met, then you legally have to agree to the deal. So it's bold of them to think they can't, and it's because they're trying to get it into the lawyers. They're trying to basically take it to a point where they will stop Spurs, right? That's really what they're trying to do. If I'm honest, I don't hate the idea that they do it because obviously, he's your best player and you want to hold on to him, and you've just sold Alanga and the fan base is already really unhappy. But no, This is ridiculous. It is utter ridiculous. And it's really coming down to how did Spurs find out about release clause? Kind of what the situation is. It's how did Spurs find out about this release clause? Because earlier in this summer, it was touted that City were wanting Gibbs-White, but the deal was too expensive. But 60 million for 60 million for Man City isn't expensive. So what was that real figure? And how the hell did Spurs find it? And then, people have come to me and said it's the agent, it's this, that, and that. I don't know. I don't know where it's come from. But if it's the agent, it's the agent. Spurs haven't done anything wrong. Spurs didn't go gun to his head, tell us the number. Has he got a release clause? The agent's probably gone, by the way, he's got a release clause. It's 60 million. And Spurs went, does he now? The irony is it was it was club to club talks, the directness of it yesterday, not long after 3 o'clock, wasn't it? It was like 3:15, I said, to then deal agreed. He's booked his medical within 2 hours. That did feel a bit quick, but then it's like, deals can be worked on in silence behind closed doors for weeks on end. Just because you heard of it there and then doesn't mean it's just there and then it's happened. It's not FIFA. I don't know personally. I don't know. But I still think it happens. What have I missed? Not long till the end of the school year, and I can get to your videos more often. No, I know you're a teacher. Don't worry, Philip, you're all good. But no, not long now. It's probably 10, 12 days, something like that. Call it a week and a half. Not long now. What would be a good season for Spurs? It depends. Depends how you view, really. I mean, I think, by everything accounted for, if you had 17th in the Europa League, it's no longer a good enough season. So you would assume minimum top 5 finish is kind of where my thinking is now. And if he's going to spend this money, then the idea is as well, they've obviously replaced the medical team who were just actually so crap at their jobs. Like, I'd love to get a job where I'm so bad and somehow fall upwards. That feels like a new signing. That will save players a lot of injuries as well. But I think top 5 is definitely the minimum. Definitely is the minimum for me. That's just the league. Difficult with really cup competitions, really. Thumbnails are saying, I googled it, Spurs have done nothing wrong. Okay. Forest will finish above Spurs. No, they won't. Think about the stories of Kuti and Atletico Madrid. Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Atletico Madrid have been trying to tap up that market and drive it down for ages, and Spurs went, we're going to hold firm. He has no release clause because we're not idiots. If you want him, you can't play our game. And Atletico went, right, well, we can't play their game, so we're going to have to back out. Is this a clanger from Lang? No, I don't think so. Do I read comments? Well, I've just read yours. With the way he's gone about it all, I don't want him putting a Forest shirt back on. He obviously wants to leave Forest. Well, he does. Yeah, I think everything that's come out, obviously, if you're going to hear from Gibbs-White's side of things saying this is what the release clause is, right, the key thing here, right, is don't take this out on Gibbs-White. You don't really take this out on any player when it comes to this side of things. The agent, at the end of the day, is all about money. Wants you to earn more wages because that means he gets to take more of a little selection of that wages, right? A little percentage of your wages. He also gets an agent bonus because, the agent fee of moving a player. So that's why, see, Spurs aren't the only club with a leak. Ooh, get the plumbers in. I'm really nervous it will happen. I think it will happen. I think they're trying to delay it. And I think there's tinfoil hat on. I know nothing. I'm just putting out there. Does his release clause end on Sunday or Monday next week? And Forest are going, we need to try and delay this because once it's been delayed, we no longer have to agree to the deal and we can demand 70 and 80 million. Tinfoil hat. I don't think it's the case, but could it be? Just saying. Nottingham has to be able to prove, unless it's got test. Look, yeah. There must be something that, I mean, thing is, right, they can't just go, Spurs, that's illegal. That's illegal. I can't believe you've done that. And they go, done what? And they go, I just can't believe you've done that. You're like, done what? And they're like, we're not happy with you. We're not happy with you because you've done that. There has to be something. They must know of something or have heard of something as to why they're unhappy. Must be. If it's a secret clause and the agent supposedly told Spurs about it, then that means the agent also need to get in trouble if we pay the rescores. So why would he have done it? Well, there's also that potential. Do we still get him, or what do you think? No, I think we still get him. I still think we get him. Sikakil Bio. What a name that is. You're right, dude. Do I have an Arizona shirt on? It's a little bit frayed, but yeah. Would you still get Gibbs-White for 70 or 80? I'd have him for 60. The deal's agreed for 60. You know? We caught them off guard now, trying to slow it down. I think there's something they're trying to do. I think they're trying to do something in particular to slow it down for a reason, because they don't like. I don't get it. I don't like. Look, I know Marinakis is a very, very insecure man at times, but like, you don't do this for no reason. You don't do this for no reason. Look, I mean, there's this Graham Bailey saying that Gibbs-White's camp do not expect Forest to block this move. They don't believe there's sufficient evidence to cancel the proposed transfer despite breaching a confidentiality agreement somewhere. All I'm going to say is, if Gibbs-White is really on to this move, and really wants this move, and you block it, whoa, you have one annoyed player there. Like, fair play, that'll be your problem. Just saying. That is one annoyed player there and then off the bat. Again, you know, when insecure people get money, they get really insecure. You'd think it'd go the other way. You think they'd get really screwed themselves, but they don't. But no, it's crazy. That is information. He has sued people over referees. He's sending us. Look, he thinks he's bigger than he is. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave it there. But like, you know, Sky Sports saying that, you know, they think it's off, but actually it's not off. It's still on. It's typical crap reporting, you know. But I still think the deal gets done. I do. I don't think there's anything to really worry about it, if I'm honest. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about investment. Now, I don't know if Paul O'Keefe is really the best source anymore, because he's had a real bad few months and a lot of clangers. But he has tweeted that he understands there'll be investment as well as a large sponsorship deal for Tottenham. Interestingly, the changes will see a management reshuffle as well as new roles. Levy likely to stay, but potentially in a different / reduced and perhaps even non-football related role. Vinay's appointment and the departure of Cullen were the first part of a broad realignment of the club. Remains to be seen what impact that has on the football strategy. The question is whether someone is investing in ENIC for it to invest in the club, or if they are coming in directly. I thought I saw something more, but yeah. Yeah, I can't believe Palace have been kicked out of the Europa League, by the way. That is absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. But yeah, so it was Ben Jacobs, wasn't it? Hang on. What did Ben Jacobs say? Yeah, exclusive. Spurs are close to finalising a stadium naming rights deal with a Saudi entity, the frontrunner. Advanced talks taking place. Dealmakers have put forward two companies, one a PIF subsidiary and a second company unaffiliated. Legalities being explored as to not conflict with Newcastle. Nothing guaranteed yet, as Spurs have spoken to American companies as well, but discussions are advanced. Senior government figures have also been involved in talks. And yeah, I mean, I talked about it yesterday. The source said it as well. So Yeah. What have I missed? What have I missed? What have I missed? Let's know, how are you? We get a left back yet. Stop it, you. I'm trying my best to get it in the ether. Even though Marinakis spat his dummy out again, just likes to be in the spotlight. We've not gone for Gibbs-White if there would be any rules broken. Levy doesn't work that way. He's always been above board on anything money related. Maybe they do it to appease Forest fans like Levy does. If we have a bad winner, we put a mysterious £70 million bid in for a player that never comes through. Gibbs-White also could sue Forest due to breach of contract. I read Spurs could spend up 200 if they want. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, easy. But look, on the investment side of things, obviously, the stadium naming rights is... Actually, I complained about it a while ago, like years ago. Like, why have we, if we want to raise more money, you do the naming rights. I've got a weird feeling that Daniel Levy might have played a blinder here. Now, follow me. We used to do about 15, 16 events at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that were non-football related. So concerts, boxing events, things like that, right? And then it got doubled. Got doubled probably within the last year. It got doubled, right? Got more boxing events, more concerts, more everything, right? You've got the go-kart track. You've got the hotel that's in motion. Then they sell the naming rights because I think they can demand way more money. Champions League football back as well. You've won a European trophy. You're one of the top 10 biggest clubs in the world. Throw down the naming rights that you now can demand way more money because you've got way more events, you've got way more eyes, you've got way more activities in the stadium. And you get the hotel as well. It's everything. This could be this could be me just saying something that it absolutely isn't. But this for me feels like an absolute blinder being played because actually you can make way more money on that. And I think actually that makes a ton more sense thinking about it. Now, I don't know how much it would work out being. For example, how much do Arsenal get for stadium naming rights? Let's see how much they earn. So, funding for the stadium secured in 2004. It's a 15-year deal, estimated 100 million. That also includes a 7-year sponsorship deal from 2006 to 2007. They get 6 million a year, according to something that was in late March of this year. What about Man City? 15 million a year. Spurs, I think, should be demanding 15 plus million a year. Because actually, when you think about it, look at all the events that Spurs Stadium does. It's a humongous tourist attraction when you think about it. I think 15 million a year is probably about right. Maybe even more. Inflation's a thing if you add that on as well. Tell you what, even if they didn't spend any of that money on transfers, but they just that will clear up, cash flow problems. Okay, fine. I don't hate it. Now, what that naming right will be is another thing, and that's a conversation for another day. But a reshuffling in the higher ups could be very fascinating. If you're going to be moving Daniel Levy, maybe still a chairman, but into a non-footballing role, it feels like a bigger investment than we realise. Because a minority investment changes nothing, right? Someone buying 5% of a company might say, I'd love you to do this, but you go, that's nice. I still own 80% of the company. It means nothing what you say. It's fascinating to think about. And like I said, I just think because Spurs have got, they've got stadium naming rights sorted. They've got stadium events sorted. The track underneath, the NFL, the football, the Champions League, the hotel that's coming. I even forgot about the NFL. All of these things play a part. All of these things play a massive part. that you can demand. It's probably at its highest value right now that you can demand it, which is hilarious to think when you finish 17th in the Premier League, but you've got Champions League football, that you can demand more. And you can. So I don't mind it. Obviously, we'll see what that investment truly looks like across the board, because obviously a little bit of stadium money per year doesn't mean you go and, absolutely spend 300 million, but there's something to it. There is something to it. Forest are a dirty club. I hate them. I hate the pathetic owner. Cricket venue next. Well, we'll see. And then the last thing I'll talk about is obviously, Basuma. Apparently, it feels like of the first team, as Basuma feels like the first domino that could potentially fall. I think that was Matt Law that said that. Yes, sorry. Basuma feels like maybe the first one that might be out the door, first teamers wise. Yeah, we've heard about a rumor of about 20 million. There's still links with Paulinho and Douglas Luiz, which I'm not overwhelmed by. People that want a great six, that's not the players that you want for sure. I'm not interested really in either of those. Probably would have been interested in Luiz maybe a couple of years ago, but couldn't get it done in Serie A, and that's always quite a worry if you can't get it done in Serie A, So, yeah, I'd probably skip on both of those guys personally. Do you think there will be sales to raise cash or has investment? No, I think there is investment. Either through ENIC or outside, I think there's investment. It may not have already come in, but it's like we're just waiting for like the next week and then it gets put through to the account, something like that. But the money's coming for sure. Hence why they want to spend 150 million pounds on two players, which they don't ever do. Which means you would think, all right, there's investment coming. We need to make sales anyway to make room. Yeah, well, sales still need to happen. I would just say just be patient with that, because actually Frank hasn't seen all of his players train properly. Seen Real linked with Kuti today. Won't worry anything about it, mate. Romero is tipped to stay. And if Real Madrid want him, the longer they leave it, the price goes up. Yeah, Crystal Palace fans aren't very happy with Nottingham Forest. That's all I'm going to say. That's an interesting situation to keep an eye on. And Romano has said that keep an eye on a midfielder as the next possible signing for Tottenham. Now, I don't know if he means Gibbs-White, but yeah, we'll see. But midfielder doesn't surprise me. Now it seems Atleti have given up. Forest making a lot of friends. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forest are really well loved. Like I said, the history of Forest, absolutely. The present, current iteration of Nottingham Forest, not good. Am I watching the cricket? I haven't watched cricket today. I've been out and travelling around a lot today, so I haven't had the chance. But I saw that Jofra Archer got a wicket in his first over, so that's good to see. And news and club drained incomings. Nothing. Besiktas looks like Besiktas are getting Kyle Walker-Peters, so he'll be off the table. Down to Dennis Kirkin, but I've seen nothing on that. But we shall see. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm off to go and have a few beers this evening to enjoy myself. So please go and enjoy the rest of your evenings, afternoons, mornings, wherever you are in the world. Please look after yourselves. Please stay safe. And I'll be back maybe tomorrow morning. If not, we'll be back Sunday to talk a lot more about Tottenham Hotspur. Take care, everyone. Peace.